morning. We are in the thick of Sport Beach here at the Cannes Lions. I'm Jessica Henrichs, president of Colle McVoy, and we're here covering a spectrum of play, all things from basketball, football, rock climbing, even snowboarding, but we're here today to talk lacrosse. And I'm with the greatest lacrosse player of all time, Paul Rabil, and the head of brand from Whirlpool, Shannon Blakely. Okay, so Paul, with the Premier Lacrosse League starting its inaugural season in 2019, how would you say the league's approach to brand partnerships really might differ from other sport affiliates that have been around longer?
Okay, so first of all, I'm here with one of the best brand marketers at Whirlpool and one of the greatest advertising marketers in Jess. And this relationship came together because of you at Sport Beach last year.
Yeah.
So just want to give that a shout out and thank you. I think what we do that's different in a team sports environment, what's really attractive to brand partners and networks around the world, is that we are wholly owned. And so what makes sport attractive, I'm sure we'll get into it on the detail of live programming, live events, interaction with fans, having players who are now influential and celebrities as your sort of ambassadors, is that typically you come into a team sports league and there are multiple price points. You have to spend with the league and the teams and the Players Association, then work with agents to get players, and it's very convoluted. And so as a professional athlete growing up in a tier 2 sport like lacrosse, I studied the business of sports marketing and understood that, while marketers often look for turnkey solutions, there are very few. And so when we built the PLL and we work with someone like Shannon, when Whirlpool comes in, they get the whole enchilada. And that includes not only league IP, team IP, and access to players as ambassadors, but also integrated in-game features on ESPN, our network partner, to activations on site with our fans, and really new ideas, which is my favorite part of the partnership.
Amazing. All right. Well, Shannon, what was it about the Premier Lacrosse League, the PLL, to make it a little easier for you, that felt just so right fit for Whirlpool?
Sure. So when we're looking at Whirlpool as a brand, it's really a brand that's all about family and care and everything that goes into that. There's sacrifice, there's fun, there's humor, there's laughs, but it's also a really hard thing to do to raise a family. And it could be any kind of family, right? Your family, your friends, your community around you. And so when we were looking at that, we thought, there's something there that's very true. That's actually, it takes a lot of grit to do that. It takes so much heart and passion. And that kind of led us to this conversation with lacrosse, because it's a very tough sport. It's very physical, it's very fast, but it's also very much a sport that is around grit. And you have to have that grit to be able to play. And then I think we had a really amazing moment in time where when we looked at all of these different things together, the PLL was making their announcement about bringing their teams home. And so this idea of home and family and care and grit, all of that together really seemed like an amazing way to tell some stories and reach this amazing community of lacrosse that's out there as well.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because the moment in time was bringing our 8 teams into home cities, introducing them on SportsCenter, live on air. And when we were meeting, we were talking about this idea. And let's just face it, in the marketing world, it's hard to get big deals done.
Exactly.
And to Shannon's credit, she knew the moment was inside of 60 days. She brought her team to the table. We brought our team to the table, and we welcomed everyone home. And our fans got behind it. Our players got behind it. We were able to tie into the core product offering of Whirlpool. And then, by the way, if you come to a PLL game, the stands are full of families.
Yeah. Right.
It's very much sort of the new age game. Despite being the first game of North America, today's day and age, it's families get behind it, and they play all summer long, and they go to PLL games.
Exactly.
And so we sit together and try to figure out, okay, how do we tap into that in the most authentic way? That was the first one.
Yeah. Well, what a time to get involved with the PLL. I mean, it's taking off. So as the PLL officially takes off, what's most helpful for brands to ask themselves and consider before approaching a league like yours?
Well, I think for a brand, the number one thing that I look for is how well do they know themselves. And they typically, if you have someone like Shannon, they just know everything about their products and their identity and how they want to bring everything to life. And so what we do is we come and we know our audience just as well. And we often bring our players to the table and we say, okay, what is the best story or stories that we can tell? So I would always advise brands to, get together with your properties and build these brainstorming sessions and come up with, we hear authenticity, we hear integration quite a bit. Like, it might seem kind of obvious, but it really comes down to sitting at a table and having conversations and meeting each other and deciding you want to do business because you care about the people who have demonstrated that they have grit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're entrepreneurs. You know, in most traditional sports leagues have been, you know, the torch has been passed. And it's not very often that you get a chance where you can count on founders who will do anything for the brand and have agility around it. So I would say, yeah, look for that authenticity, but create space for it. And then don't shy away from pivoting. You know, and whether it's Whirlpool or one of our partners like Cash App or Gatorade, like mid-season, a new product is offered, and we will pivot our strategy to get behind it with a brand and not add a bunch of layers or barriers.
Yeah, not every league can pull that off. Such a quick pivot, so that's huge. All right, so question for both of you. How, as marketers, can we further stretch the potential of tapping into fandom through partnerships like what's happening with Whirlpool and the PLL? You know, we can do a lot more than obviously putting athletes in traditional TV spots or doing specialty merch runs. So how do you want to see brands and sports entities really take a big swing?
Sure. So I think something that's really special about the PLL too is their relationship with their athletes. And that's been very true of our partnership. The ability for us to find those authentic stories, not only at a league level, team level, but with the individual athletes and understanding what's important to them, whether it's their story or things that they want to talk about, finding those things and making it part of the overall story. So of course, you know, we all love a great integration and a great merch drop, but finding those spaces where you can tell those stories together of what really matters to you and the athlete and hopefully the league as well, I think has been really special for us and hopefully something we see more of.
Yeah, so we talked about our moment that we had when we introduced our teams to home cities. One thing that we worked on and we're quite proud of is, given our relationship with ESPN, and we work hand in glove with them as much as we do with our corporate partners, is we go, okay, how can we improve the advertising experience for our viewers? And we know that, you know, cutting to break, sometimes people turn. So why don't we keep the game going, have a two-box, essentially, which is tune into Whirlpool's advertisement that we made with them, call it a laundry break. Our talent at ESPN cut to a laundry break. You see the players still in a huddle, and it's this amazing Maryland Whipsnakes fan ad that we run. And so that's going several times a game. So it's unique.
Right, exactly. You don't usually see that, and that was one of the things when we were looking at this partnership together, to see those ideas coming, that it was so different but so obvious in a way, right, to do that. And then, you know, creating that ad together. Our teams were in Chicago shooting, and the ideas were going both ways.
Yeah,
right?
It's amazing you can have that collaboration, and in a way that also just feels so right for the audience, tapping into a moment that's already so natural for them at home. That's terrific.
Yeah.
And then the next idea that we have that we're talking about and trying to sort out this summer is, okay, so what makes sports so exciting, and the combination of everything that you said, Jess, when you started, is that it penetrates culture through things like culinary and fashion and music, and obviously with the Whirlpool products, we have one of the most extraordinary player chefs. And I've battled with trying to bring that to life through content campaigns with our other players. So we're designing something, it's called Let Him Cook, and we're gonna shoot it, hopefully, in Chicago.
Stay tuned.
Yeah,
We're breaking news here this morning.
But like really like break that thing up. So you have versions of each home team's hometown favorite meal, cooked by Jerry Raganese and then one of the star players, cut for social, like really tapping into it in a way that goes beyond the field.
I love that. I mean, it's so true to Whirlpool's brand promise and their tagline even around everyday care, those daily moments of care brought to life through real moments on the field. So that's amazing. Well, congratulations, you two, on the successful partnership. It's been fun hanging out with you at Sport Beach. Enjoy the rest of your can, and looking forward to seeing what's to come.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks.